Okay, welcome. We are back. Welcome to WPLDN. Great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to see so many faces, and it is such a pleasure. Welcome those of us joining us virtually. Good to be with you. Just going to run through a few things. Tonight might be a little bit disjointed compared to maybe what you've experienced previously. Got a little bit rusty over the last 26 months, maybe. So just want to run through a few things. Introduce you to WPLDN, the WordPress London Meetup. General format is 2 to 3 sessions over the course of the evening. As you've just been experiencing, we've had some drinks and some food and some networking together. We'll have the first session. After the first session, we'll have another quick break. Feel free to make sure the food and drink are finished off, and then we'll come back and have the second session of the evening. Can I just please ask if you have your phones, just make sure they're on silent, just out of respect for the speakers, please. And if you have any questions for the speakers, we will be running a live Q&A at the end of the session. Please do ensure that you've got a microphone for your question. Not so much in this room, because this is a nice little cozy room, we can all hear each other, but actually on the live stream. So for those of us that are joining virtually, they can hear the questions as well. And my clicker's stopped. Okay, these events are made possible thanks to Big Orange Heart. Big Orange Heart is an organisation that supports and promotes positive wellbeing and mental health within the remote working community. Over the course of the last 2.5 years, Big Orange Heart has been enabling us to deliver not only what became virtual WPLDN and has now become WP Global, it also enabled us to deliver other events across the global community that were outside of the WordPress space as well. So please, you will notice Big Orange Heart throughout the events. If you do have an opportunity to visit the site, bigorangeheart.org. If you want to know any more information about it, come and hit me up. There will be some more information on the slides in a moment. Just want to introduce ourselves. Unfortunately, neither Diane or Leo could be with us this evening, but I'm Dan Maybe, the founder of Big Orange Heart. I also run a digital agency called Blue 37, and over here running the AV for us. So those of you on the live stream, you can thank Mr. Paul Smart for that one. If anything goes wrong, it's his fault, not mine. I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. These sponsors are global sponsors of Big Orange Heart, which then enables us to deliver multiple events throughout the community. Big thank you to Bluehost, Cloudways, GoDaddy, Nexus, and Weglot. Could I ask, if you've got your phones, if you're on Twitter, head over to big.ht/thanks. That will put together a nice little tweet for you, and it will send a thanks to all of those companies for enabling us to deliver this event tonight. There is Wi-Fi. That is a really good question, and I've completely missed the Wi-Fi slide. Wi-Fi is, and I'm going to forgive me, I'm going to have to read this out. You're looking for Runway East Open, and the password is happy space, capital H, capital S, and it's the word space, not a space. So happy space, camel case, exclamation mark. Yes, exclamation mark. Sorry. Happy space, exclamation mark. Whilst you're just sorting your Wi-Fi out, we're just going to hear a quick word from our sponsors.
Cover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
Who says building an online store has to be hard? With Bluehost Website Builder, it's more than just easy. It's tell us your thing and smart AI will take it from there easy. It's WooCommerce friendly, so you can add one of these or swap this for that easy. It's set up shop in minutes with unlimited products easy. Whether you sell boots, books, or bowls, it's create an online store with Bluehost easy. Build beyond boundaries with Bluehost.
Great. My website crashed again. I give up.
No! Don't give up on your dreams, Jordan. Who are you?
It's me. You. From the future. Your professional website is not out of reach. You just need Nexus. With Nexus Managed Hosting, you get lightning-fast load times, built-in performance monitoring and updates, and always awesome support 24/7, 365 for all your projects.
Whoa. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully those on the stream got the proper audio. Bit weird in the room here, but thank you for tolerating that. That definitely should not have been coming from the projector. Anyway, as I said, we may have the odd hiccup here and there. Getting on to tonight, we're going to have 2 sessions. So we're going to be kicking off with Paul. Paul will be taking us through some techniques and some tips and help us how to design for mobile users. I'll give Paul a bit more of an introduction in just a moment as we go live with him, but we're following that up with an open discussion. So the concept of this open discussion is for you to be part of this conversation. You will see some chairs up here. You will see some microphones up here. Please don't be scared. It's a conversation that I want to get into around the evolution of WordPress as we've been a distributed community that's been forced to be distributed. We've been unable to come together as a community. We're so used to being able to do this sort of thing pre-pandemic, where we came together, we shared ideas, we shared thoughts, and it's about having a conversation about how that experience has been over the last couple of years, about being a distributed team which physically couldn't come together. We are always looking for speakers, not only speakers for our physical events, but also for our virtual events. Please head over to big.ht/speak. The big.ht is just a short URL for Big Orange Heart. big.ht/speak. We're looking for speakers of all skills, all levels, no matter where you are at in your WordPress journey, whether you've just started, whether you've been in it for decades. We'd love to hear from you. So coming up here, sharing your experiences, that's what these events are about. That's what this community is about. It's about helping to grow and level up our experience and level up our knowledge with the community. So before we get started with our sessions tonight, we have our community announcements. Those of you that are familiar with the old WPLDN format, these are an opportunity, if you're aware of anything that's going on in and around the community, just to let us know as a community that this is happening. So if you've got anything, if you can think of anything that's happening, maybe there's some events going on, maybe you're, as I always say, you may be looking to be hired, or maybe you are looking to hire, it's an opportunity just to stick your hand up, let us know, and of course we can let the community know. Whilst you're just giving that some thoughts, got a couple of things that we wanted to announce ourselves. Big Orange Heart events through 2022. We are delivering both physical, here we are, and virtual events. So for those of you that are watching this on the live stream, you can join us in a more dedicated virtual event format on the second Thursday of every month. And those of us that can come together physically, we will be coming together at WPLDN on the last Thursday of every month. I know tonight's a Wednesday, but this hopefully is just a short-term issue. So Big Orange Heart, events.bigorangeheart.org if you're interested in any other events. The virtual events are held on live.bigorangeheart.org. If you've been part of the virtual events with us over the last 2 years, you'll have been to this site. These events are going to continue running. It's been a phenomenal experience in terms of enabling us to bring down the barriers for speakers and attendees to be able to communicate and be part of these events over the last couple of years. So it's one positive that has been able to come out of a lot of very negative over the last couple of years. That shouldn't be there because that's now, but here we are back. This is the last Thursday, I promise. This isn't Wednesday, it's the last Thursday of the month for WPLDN. Just want to quickly mention WordFest Live. This was born out of the work that we were doing through the pandemic in terms of enabling the community to come together. Those of you that are familiar with the concept of the larger scale events that we have across the WordPress community, This WordFest Live was something that we wanted to do, but we did in a purely virtual format. It will continue. We deliver 2 of them a year, and they're a lot of fun, a lot of work. Yeah, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears literally go into these. There's a few laughing faces in here that have all been involved in it. So we had announced that September the 9th, 2022 would be the second WordFest of 2022. Then WordCamp US went and did this. So, of course, WordCamp US is going to be delivered on the 9th of September through to the 11th. Yes, it's back. Great. We've got these physical events coming back. But, of course, it meant that we had to shift WordFest. So, November 18th will be a nobody launched events on November the 18th. November the 18th, we'll be delivering the next WordFest Live. If you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to hear from you at Big Orange Heart. It is a lot of work, but it is a lot of fun, both in the lead up to and during the live event. It's a 24-hour festival of WordPress that we run virtually. Mike, Paul, Giles, several familiar faces have been through the journey, and I'll just leave. It's good fun, but it is a lot of work. We are in the midst of the next major release of WordPress. WordPress 6.0 is coming up. 6.0 is due for release 24th of May. Yesterday, the beta 3 was released. So if you're a plugin developer, if you're a theme developer, do make sure you're testing against that beta release. Make sure that things are not breaking as these releases are coming through. Couple of things, just a couple of noteworthy things to mention in the 6.0 release. This one, lockable, reusable blocks. Interesting concept here. Obviously, the one of the issues with the reusable blocks is you create a nice reusable block for your client. They come along and they make changes and they save that, and suddenly it's all gone wrong. This is going to enable you to actually lock the block, so your client or whoever you're passing the site on to is then not making changes to that reusable block. We've got this easily switch theme styles. So allowing theme developers to add multiple styles to present their themes so that end users can easily switch. I know that there will certainly be some love-hate conversations around the concept of this. Are you releasing sites for clients? Do you want clients making those sorts of changes? The ability to lock these things down, as we've just seen, is absolutely improving every single release. We've got a bunch of new blocks coming in the 6.0, including comments, read more, no results in query loop, post author biography, and avatar. So all of those are going to be added into the 6.0 release. And just something I wanted to mention, because this irritates the hell out of me. You ever tried this? You want to grab a bit of text across 2 blocks and suddenly the whole lot gets selected. That's going to be fixed in 6.0. It's a minor thing, but it's a minor thing that can be really irritating if you're doing a lot of writing, a lot of editing, and of course, the concept of the block editor was to focus around the editing experience. So really pleased to see that coming through. Rattling through these fairly quickly because I need to crack on with Paul's session, because very much looking forward to this. Wanted to quickly give a mention to WordCamp Europe. Physical event coming back on the 2nd to the 4th of June, happening in Porto in Portugal. If you are not familiar with the WordCamp experience, it's an opportunity for the larger community to come together, the larger global community. In this instance, it's the European community is the focus. However, it does attract an international global audience. Phenomenal events, lots of networking, lots of growth, lots of opportunity to meet, build, and grow as a community. The venue, as I mentioned, is in Porto, Portugal. The event format starts off the first day with a contributor day. So the contributor day, if you're not familiar, is a day where we spend time focused on contributing to the WordPress project in multiple ways. You do not have to be a developer to contribute. Second and third day are conference days, so you can spend 2 days full of sessions, which are fantastic. It's this sort of thing on a much larger scale. Tickets are available, €50 a head. Also wanted to give a mention to WordCamp Asia, where we have a tentative date for WordCamp Asia of the 17th to the 19th of February 2023. For those of you that were interested, WordCamp Asia was due to be launched just prior to the pandemic, or just as we went into the pandemic. So really good, really happy to see this coming back. If you are able to head over to the site asia.wordcamp.org/2023. Same formats, 1 day of contributor day, 2 days of conference. Okay, that wraps up the community announcements. Did anybody have anything they wanted to mention at all? Giles, yes. Go for it. Yep.
Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. First of all, it's just really nice to see everybody again. Fantastic. For those that don't know me, my name is Giles. I'm now engineering. Hello, thank you. My name is Giles. I'm engineering manager now at an agency called Powered by Coffee. We're based in Wimbledon. We're a WordPress VIP agency and we are hiring. So I'm looking for a mid-weight full stack developer. If you're one and you would like to look for new opportunities, or if you know somebody, it would be really nice for you to come and reach out to me. Also online, if you're looking for a new opportunity, giles@poweredbycoffee.co.uk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Did anybody else have any community announcements? Anybody want to mention anything at all? No? Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you. Apology, there was just kind of a lot of rattling through that really, really quickly because we did start about 10 minutes late, just due to getting some of the tech sorted out. One thing I didn't mention, and I'm going to kick myself for not mentioning, what I really want to put out there is that we are looking for co-organizers of both this event and the virtual events. So if you're interested in getting involved and coming on board as a co-organizer, then please do let us know. You're more than welcome to come and chat with myself or Paul this evening if you want to, if it's of an interest to you. Or if you want to get involved in the virtual events, then do, again, head over to the Big Orange Heart site. We've got a contact form on there. These events are run for the community by the community. So it's essentially about us making sure that they are right for us. I'll dive into that conversation a bit further in the discussion later on. So I won't go too much into that now, but I just wanted to mention if that is of interest to you, Keith Devon launched these events many years ago, and my first event where I turned up, I felt entirely inappropriate. I was fully suited and booted, come from my day job here in London. I had no idea what the WordPress community was all about. So I sat down at the back and he said, "Does anybody want to help?" I stuck my hand up, and it's been a journey from there. So honestly, do recommend if you're interested in getting involved at all, come have a conversation with Paul or myself this evening, or as I say, contact us on the Big Orange Heart site. Okay, I'm now going to introduce you to Paul Lacey. Paul is going to be presenting his talk this evening, Designing for Mobile with WordPress. The devil is in the detail. Paul is an experienced web designer who has worked for brands such as Pentagon, Getronics. I don't know why that word really, Gtronics, really sticks. Generate Press and the Church of England. Paul also works as a freelancer as well for the well-known WordPress brand Beaver Builder. So please give a big round of applause to Paul. And we're going to have one of those really smooth transitions now. So just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. No, seriously, do talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Yep, of course you can. Okay, so. All right, thank you for coming, everybody, today. Good to see some friends as well, and new faces that I've not seen before as well. And today we're going to learn a little bit about mobile optimization. We're not going to go super deep. We're just going to keep it lightweight so that everybody can hopefully take something away and improve their website for mobile. And as it says there, it's all about the small steps making big changes. Okay, so this is strange, isn't it? So we're at a physical event, guys, which is strange. It's strange to be even speaking at one, and as Dan said, you know, we're all a bit rusty in this, and but there is a couple of ground rules that I'd just like to put down for people. We're not on Zoom, guys. So I'm glad to see most of you are wearing trousers and real shoes rather than your slippers. We're also not on YouTube here, so you can't skip me to the next video, I'm afraid, no matter what the algorithm does for you. Sorry. Again. The other one as well is the appropriate response. I know we're all out of practice at being somewhere in a social event with real people. If I tell a joke, the appropriate response is to laugh, okay? Even if it offends you. All right. It's been a few years since I've been here. I've spoken at this event before. I really enjoyed it last time. September 2019 was the last time. A lot's changed, but you can kind of see that I haven't. So that's good. Dan's already introduced me, so I don't really need to say too much. As Dan said, I'm a designer. I build websites. I also work for Beaver Builder. I've done a lot of podcasting. Some of you might have seen the WP Builds podcast. I used to be the co-host of that with Nathan Wrigley. He's probably watching on the online at the moment, laughing at me and calling me a traitor because I left the podcast. So he calls me the traitor every week, which is nice, but it's just a joke. Anyway, so I do that, and that's pretty much it, really. So we should really get onto the talk about mobile optimization. So let's look at the situation as it is at the moment, okay? So worldwide, we have a situation now where mobile has overtaken desktop. It's been that way for a while, but it's becoming more and more prominent all the time. We have 56%, over 56 worldwide on mobile, 41% desktop, and around 2% tablet. So tablet isn't doing too well worldwide. It's different regionally around the world. In India, mobile is huge, 75%, 23% desktop. Canada's kind of the opposite of that. They love their desktops in Canada, 58% desktop, mobile 37%. And as usual, tablet is really not making much ground up there. But here we are in the United Kingdom. We're below 50% on 47.9, so we're almost 48%. This is March 2022. But mobile is more prevalent than desktop. And again, tablet, not so much. But mobile is the most common way that people access the web in the UK and worldwide, apart from Canada. What's even more interesting, and I know you probably can't see this, so I'll explain what it actually says, is this is the chart that shows the various different countries in Western and Central Europe by country. Is in 2021 this is, so it's probably changed a little bit, where online sales are being generated by country on mobile phones. The United Kingdom is in the lead at what you can't see there, 60%. So 60% of all online sales in the UK are done on a mobile phone. I don't know if that includes the Amazon app or not, but let's look at that. Pre-pandemic to 2021, Amazon's revenue increased 82% thanks to the pandemic. But obviously we're all a bit broke now, as we've been warned for some time. All our bills are going up, gas costs more, all that different stuff. UK spending is down 6%, March 2022, over the previous year. But here's the thing, if people are using their phones and spending is down, then we need to do better to make sure that when they do spend the money, they're spending it on our websites and not someone else's, okay? So the good news is for anyone who is a designer, Rich, you're a designer, I'm a designer, is we're in the future now, okay? We're at this point, this amazing time, a bit like the time when we were able to get rid of Internet Explorer, where we can say, finally, we can have a mobile-first design philosophy. The stats are in, the numbers are in, we can do it. Oh, let's have a look. Skip that update. Remind me later. There we go. it nearly did an update there. That would have been bad, wouldn't it? The problem is that we're possibly not quite ready for a mobile-first design philosophy yet. Anyone who works with clients, try and show them a website design that you've done without the desktop version. Just show them the mobile version. This is more or less what you'll get. And we blame it on the clients. It's not their fault, because if I hired someone to do a website for me, and I'm standing around telling everybody to do mobile first, I'd be like, I don't want to say this, but what does the website look like? Okay, so perhaps we're not quite ready for the mobile first philosophy. But as I said at the beginning, this is all about small steps, taking small steps in the right direction. And small steps create big gains when you add them up. This is from James Clear. I think it's Atomic Habits or something is the book. I forgot what it's called. I don't quite understand the maps. It's been proven, apparently, that if you take something and create a kind of compound interest thing every day, that after a year of 1% improvement of optimization every day, by the end of that year, it will be over 37 times better than it was at the beginning, which is pretty astonishing. I get that. I struggle with the worse everyday part, right? To me, this is the top part is like compound interest. You keep putting money in and you get the compound interest effect. Apparently, if you reduce the optimization of something 1% every day, it doesn't decrease that badly. And I think that's because there's a level where if something is bad, it's bad. So I'm 43, I think. I don't even know anymore. But clearly I dress like a teenager. And the way I was able to understand that one was if I decreased my fashion sense by 1% every day for a year, I'd probably still only be 0.3% worse than I was when I started. You're bad and you're still bad. But if you improve, you can get much, much better. So we're going to get on to a few examples, you'll be glad to know. But we need to make a decision. Are we going mobile first or desktop first? If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about there, it's like when you have a design philosophy, are you thinking about the mobile user or the desktop user? Why don't we have both? Okay, I'm glad the GIF worked, otherwise it'd just be a random picture of a small girl. So it's as I said at the beginning, if we're going to tackle both, how are we going to do that? Because that seems like double the work. If we're not ready to do the mobile and we're kind of happy to stick with the desktop, how do we tackle both? And I think the thing to do is to keep things simple. Optimize in the margins. What can you do now that takes whatever you were doing yesterday and just improves it a little bit? Because even if you can't do it every single day, you'll still be maybe 15 times better than you were at the start of the year. So we need to kind of find somewhere to start. So let's maybe start with the most viewed thing on a website, which would be the hero banner. Does everybody know what I'm talking about, the hero banner? That's usually the first thing that you see. It has like a call to action, welcome to the website, blah, 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 all that kind of thing. Now, the typical situation that you tend to get when you take a desktop site and then think about it afterwards as a mobile solution is stacking, okay? So you just get all the elements. They were maybe in multiple columns. And especially if people are using page builders or Gutenberg or something like that, if you're hand coding these things, then you perhaps use CSS Grid or Flexbox and you'll be a bit more sensible about it. But if you're using the visual tools, their default is to stack. If your client doesn't care about it, just stack them. And that has been the default setting for some time. Here's an opportunity to do 1% better than we did before. Okay? So instead of stacking, perhaps we can do something else, even with a page builder or Gutenberg. We're just looking for a 1% improvement here, because small improvements make big gains. So we're going to look at 3 quick examples of websites that I've made and where I've improved them. One of them I only improved 2 days ago because I knew I was doing this. And the client is very happy about that now. yeah. It looked rubbish a few days ago, and I needed a good example. I'd only got 2 where I'd made an effort. So yeah. So this is a comedy club. I know it's a bit difficult to see. It's called the Glee Club. They have 5 different venues around the country. And during the pandemic, they did live streams, so they count that as a 6th venue. And they had a problem on their website that most people think about their local club. So for me, it's, you might have guessed, is Birmingham, right? So I'm aware, because they're my client, that they've got 5 places, but a lot of people don't. They just think, I'm going to go to the Glee Club in Birmingham. They go to the website. They didn't realize they're not on the Birmingham section, and they booked for Cardiff. And they don't find that out until the night, usually, because that's when they check the tickets. So there's a big problem that people were not turning up because they were turning up the wrong place, or they were booking tickets for the wrong venue, and it was causing them a total nightmare. So we built a landing page for them so that people who would land on the home page would need to make a decision first, so that they at least knew that they're in the right place. They wanted some visual stuff going on here. So what you can't see in the pictures there is that there's a picture of the different venues behind each of those blocks there as such. They wanted it to give a sense of place. So you felt, that's the one I want to go to. And also they had a color coding thing going on as well. So if we stack these elements, if we go back, look, we have this stuff at the top. It's going to stack like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how it's gonna go if we don't do too much extra stuff about it. So here's what the mobile user will see in that situation. And if we remember that the whole point of this landing page is to get somebody to the right place, and they don't even have a choice visually. This is the full page if we were to leave it like that. I'm just going to admit now that this is not the one that I did earlier this week. This one was correct from day one, because it was pretty critical and it would have been noticed. It's a high traffic website. Lots of e-commerce sales go through, millions of pounds worth of sales go through this website every year. And this is what this, I've measured it. It's just about over 3 phones of length there. So to get to poor Oxford down the bottom there, you've got to go all the way to the bottom, which does not seem optimal. So we did this. If you're on the mobile user, what do you need to do? Choose a venue. That's all it is. That is just wallpaper. It's just making the big thing look nice. But that is giving the mobile user who is on a mission to spend e-commerce money on this website a simple decision. And a lot of people didn't even know about the other venues, and now they do. So they end up in the right place and buy the right tickets. I'm not going to go into great detail on each of these, how it's done. We all use different tools. I use Beaver Builder. Some of you might do hand coding. Some of you might use Gutenberg or Elementor or WP Bakery or something like that. What you can't really see here in the resolution is that there is the original row at the top here, and then here is the mobile row. And with Beaver Builder and most of the other pro page builder tools, you can define an area or a collection of content, and you can say, show this on the mobile only, or show this on the mobile and the tablet, or show this on the desktop and the mobile, and you can kind of figure out which ones you want to show. So in this case, show the desktop content to the desktop and the tablets where it can all fit and they can see everything. And on the mobile, show this stuff. And obviously when you're editing this, it looks really wide, but obviously it only gets seen and shrunk down. So that's the first example. So if anyone has any questions about that at the end, feel free to ask. Example number 2. This is my unfinished wife. This is my wife's business. I haven't finished the website yet. I'm in big trouble about this website currently. Her website is live, but it's the old version. Anyway, so her website, she sells hen parties, which didn't work out too well during the pandemic, obviously, but it's back now and doing well, apart from the old website. So here, the main thing going on here on desktop is we're showing the user our call to action, one step away from your perfect hen party. And it says something there, I can't really read it. And then we have two call to actions. People who are booking a hen party, they either know what they are doing or they know where they want to go. So we have a activities and locations. There also normally there's one person who's booking this on behalf of the rest of the group. So it's good to tell them what the process is, that they just need to choose something, pay a £25 deposit, and then we'll take care of the rest for them. So the important thing about this design, though, is this picture is not critical to the web page. It's just wallpaper. Really, it's just adding a little bit of theme to the page because we've got the space. We've got the space to use it. So let's put that there. If we stack this design and just take everything that we've got and just rearrange it, the stacking isn't the problem here. It's this elbow selling website that we seem to have. What is going on here? You can't actually see it, but well, you can. There's an elbow there, and there's an elbow there. Are we selling elbows on this website? So not only are we not selling elbows, and we're not seeing these hens having a good party, we can't even read the text as clearly. We've got the design problem of if everything stands out, nothing stands out. So we need to fix that. And this is a real 1%er. The Glee one was probably a little bit more. This one, that's all we need to do. Okay, so that they already visually know what they want or where they want to go. The first thing they want to do is make a decision. I want to check Newcastle, or I want to do a Beyonce dance class, which if any of you fancy that, it's a £25 deposit. So, yep, Dan, I thought so. Yeah, Dan, you did one last year. Yeah. So we want to give the mobile user a really good experience. There's a few other things that we've done. The navigation is there, and the search is on the right there. On the mobile, we switch them around because we want to make sure that the nav burger is in the usual place that they expect it to be. And then we're giving them a search because search is important for this particular user. So we'll give them a search in the place they expect it to be. Let's go to the correct one. We've got all the ingredients here. We also want to give them the 2 call to actions. We want to make sure that they can get in touch easily because they have questions, lots of questions. If they want to talk, let's give them the options that they would want. WhatsApp or Messenger. We'll give them both. So rather than just choose one, let's choose a solution that allows us to give them the choice. We don't want to lose people because they don't use WhatsApp. This is the search. If you press the search, this comes up. This is using Blocksy theme, actually. Blocksy theme search is awesome. When you search for something, it's got a built-in autocomplete. Search for cocktail, you've got punting and cocktails, Cuban cocktail masterclass with tapas, mobile cocktail class with Buff Butler. I won't say what that actually is. And then you can see more results there. And so it's a really lovely app-like experience for the mobile user. I didn't have to do anything difficult here. I just chose a theme that had a good stable theme that had a good mobile optimization already built in. So sometimes you can just choose something that has the optimization built in. Briefly, just to show what that looks like, this is the header builder of Blocksy. Okay, so with Beaver Builder of this thing, all I told it to do was on mobile, don't show the photo. That was it. The rest stacked. absolutely fine. This is the header builder for Blocksy. What you can see here is the 3 rows. We're not using we've got up to 3 rows here. We're using the top 2. This call to action about special offers, because we want to show them special offers. And then our row with our logo and our various navigation and search. You can press a little button down here in this particular theme, and you get it in mobile mode. And you can move things around, or you can remove things completely and add ingredients that are exclusive to mobile or exclusive to desktop. So it's not difficult. It's just making that decision that probably you're doing it almost for yourself and the end users, even if the person who you do the website for doesn't really appreciate what you're doing. The cool thing about mobile optimizing in a good way as well is that if we're not loading in a picture this big of an elbow, we're reducing the number of assets that we're loading into the page. So we're not loading any photos other than the logo. Now, I didn't just remove the photo and this happened. I did a lot of other things as well. But just removing that photo that's completely unnecessary gave me around 8 extra points here. Got me up to 99 from 91. Just one photo. Because what Google doesn't like is wastage. So it doesn't want a photo here with all this stuff around it that you can't see. It hates that. And it marks you down severely for it. Who knows if core web vitals really matters, but it's fun to get the good scores, isn't it? So, okay, this is example number 3. This is the one that I did earlier this week. And this is one of the agencies that I work for as a site builder and designer. So Richard is actually one of my clients technically and partners, and you do the design in that situation, don't you? And I build the websites. With this particular client, they are a marketing agency, and they specialize in something called KBI, I think, kitchen and bathroom industry. So we do loads and loads of these kitchen websites. And basically, the challenge is to try and get these websites converting sales as much as possible in an industry that's a little bit archaic. It was go to the showroom, speak to the salesperson, get pressure sold, and then buy some kind of finance deal. And this is how people visit kitchen showrooms now. They go on the website and they expect to be wowed. Okay, so this is one of the websites. This is the desktop version. Here's what's important here. The call to action information, the main call to action is to get a brochure. This is not actually important as such, but this is. So this is different than the hen party website, because on the hen party website, the picture of the girl was just wallpaper. But here, this is a product. This is the product that this particular website is selling. So we have a different kind of challenge to deal with here. When we were being a bit lazy about it, this is how we just dealt with it. If you look at the ingredients, you have this going on as an overlay to make sure that we can have the text readable and the button standing out quite a lot, and a bit of the kitchen showing, because there's just there's a room there around the side. You don't really need to see what's going on there, but we need to make sure that that stuff stands out. Now, if we stack that, this is what we get. We do have an option to fade that in a few seconds after the page loads, but people don't like waiting for stuff. We've figured that out. We've done some testing with these because we do some A/B split testing with this particular client, and we've noticed that people don't like waiting a few seconds to see stuff fade in. And the reason we thought that was a good idea was because we could show the kitchen and then fade in the call to action stuff over the top. So they saw this cool kitchen that we're claiming here. It's like, but what are we doing now? We're kind of claiming there's a beautiful kitchen, but we're hiding it. So what are we hiding? And it sends all the wrong messages. So sometimes you need to build an entire new page, a bit like on the Glee Club. Sometimes you just need to do a few tweaks, like on Simply Hen. On this one, it's a bit more of a rearrangement job. So we see we've got title, text, button. The solution was to do this. Okay, so this is the same size browser, all the same information. And what we're able to do is make sure that we're choosing the right kind of image that means we don't have to do too much of a dark overlay gradient. Put the title at the bottom. The button is using is covering as little as the image as possible, and also creating a nice kind of overlay sort of layered effect. And then we've got the important information that backs up their claims back there. So this was the one that I did just a couple of days ago. I showed it to them. They really liked it. We're currently testing it at the moment to see what kind of results it gets. If it does well, we'll roll this out to all the different kitchen websites that we do and see if we get better results with them. So we come back to this importance of small steps. There was nothing, well, it was quite genius, wasn't it? There was nothing genius about what I did on those websites. All we did was we were aware that there was a different mindset for the mobile user. We didn't have to go and speak to mobile users because we all use a mobile phone. We all know what frustrates us on a mobile phone, and we all know what delights us on a mobile phone. We didn't design the website from day one with a mobile first philosophy because most people don't appreciate it and they won't pay for it. But later on, you can make these small steps to improve the website. So I'm going to cite it. How much time have we got? I'm all right. Yeah, cool. Okay. I'll read that out for you. More than half of adults, 60%, funnily enough, same percentage of people who buy stuff on their phones in the UK. And over 2/3 of young people, 68%, have said their mental health got worse during lockdown. That's according to mind.org.uk. Now, I'm not an expert in that. Dan's charity is. So the serious stuff, I've got no advice, no qualifications, can't speak on that. I'm experienced in it, but can't give you any proper advice, I'm afraid. But something that I think all of us, well, most of us, have experienced over the last couple of years is our mojo sort of being eradicated. Does anyone get that? Just feel a bit, thanks Dan, feel it kind of a bit flat, maybe lacking in creativity, tired all the time, and kind of just had enough. No real mojo's the word that I like to use there. So we've kind of lost our mojo a little bit. I've just got a few little pieces of advice that are not from me, they're from the website mind.org that did this particular study. So I was going to read them out. The first one is to keep talking and connecting with people. These are things that other people said, not me. So it's just advice, peer advice as such. I advise anybody to speak to loved ones or health professionals about how they're feeling. The more you open up, the more you realize you're not alone. Second one, if you feel like you have no one, use online or phone support groups. And finally, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to anyone, whoever you love and trust. I promise you're not a burden. Like that bit, that's pretty good. And then finally, this one's important. Do things at your own pace. Slowly emerge from lockdown. Take your own time to reflect and choose activities that best suit you and make you feel good, not just following others because this is the easiest path. Happiness looks and feels different to everyone, so don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Wear what makes you feel good. I will, thank you very much. Go somewhere that makes you feel good. I will, thank you. And see someone that makes you feel good. Like you guys. We come back to this. The power of tiny gains. Okay? So do things at your own pace. Whether you're improving your design process or just becoming a better coder or just improving accessibility on things just a little bit. Look to improve every day, 1%, 0.1%, 0.5%, doesn't really matter. If you stay the same or get worse, this is what happens. Unless it gets serious, that's a different situation. I'm talking about mojo, really, here. But if you improve every day, become a better designer than you were the day before, then apparently you'll be 37 times better designer by the end of the year, which means you can raise your rates 37 times. Can you imagine that? And the clients will all be fine with that because you'll just prove to them this here. Where do you start? Well, just find the things that you can optimize in the margins, whether that's your design process or your mental health. I think that is it. Thank you very much, guys. I need a drink.
Oh, thank you
Any questions?
so much. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate where you took that as well. So thank you. We do have some time for some questions. If anybody in the room has any, let us know. Whilst I just wanted to very quickly mention, you were talking about the small wins and
Yes.
obviously the optimization. There's some research, I think you were alluding to this with Amazon around the cost to them. 1 second additional page load is estimated to cost them $1.6 billion a year for 1 second page load. It's incredible. These, as you say, the small wins are make a big change.
82% revenue growth. I mean, there's the change of the transfer of power and money right there.
Absolutely.
So don't let Amazon be the one who gets all that benefit. We can do it too.
Thank you, Graham.
Yeah. Please don't ask me about the accessibility of those sites. I'm trying to improve them. I know who you are.
Yes, that was it's Graham Armfield here. That was a tempting question, but I just was interested. I mean, mobile first is a great idea, and especially now. But what are we defining by mobile here, and what's the difference between mobile and tablet? And is it all about like the media queries and stuff like that? Is that what this is all being done by?
I think probably best thing to do is just remove the tech idea out of it. I mean, the media queries, for anyone who doesn't know, is within CSS code, which is CSS is the code that makes things look like they do on the internet, right? That's what CSS code does. It takes HTML elements and makes them this font and that color. A media query is something where you can say, you type @media and then you put some brackets and you say, only apply this style rule to anything under a particular browser size or something. Media queries is how we do it. I think the media queries comes after our decision that we are going to do it. So if you're using Beaver Builder is using a media query, as you know, behind the scenes, but you may not be even aware that that's what it does, because if you're a complete no-coder, you don't even know that. You just use the tools that you've got. And one of my points in a way is that I don't think it matters what tool you use. If you're coding, use the media queries. I mean, I was playing with some code just this morning just to see if I could apply Flexbox to Beaver Builder modules in a row and just change their order. Because if we go back to one of the, I won't go back to the slide, but the slide with the kitchen website, the button went above the text. And the reason I was playing with that code today was because I felt that that would be a more efficient way than just duplicating another row in the page builder and having this kind of a bit of a mess behind the scenes that produces a good result, but is kind of a mess behind the scenes. So I think if anybody has the skills to use media queries and CSS like that, then I would totally suggest to use it, because I can promise you that this is why I brought on the mental health talk at the end, because improving the design process for me has given me a bit of my mojo back, because I was improving things and improving myself. Confidence leads to optimism, optimism leads to happiness. So if you can do things with code, that's even more fun. If you can't, you what some of my friends call a clicker. That's what they used to call me. You click things and then stuff happens. There's nothing wrong with that. Wear the badge of pride, but still seek out the tool that allows you to do it. If you're using Gutenberg, I don't think the core Gutenberg currently has the ability to say hide or show this on mobile. So my recommendation, if you are using Gutenberg, would be to use one of the add-on packs, perhaps. The one I recommend is Generate Blocks. it's the only one I recommend, actually. There's the most famous one is Cadence blocks. Generate blocks to me is, I saw someone else write it the other day, blocks done right. Tom Osborne, you might know of Tom Osborne at Generate Press, Graham. He is very passionate about accessibility. He builds a lot of that stuff into, you can put your custom attributes onto all your blocks and stuff like that. I'm not a block user, but if you do use blocks, you'll probably need something else to help you achieve the things that I showed you today. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No
And
worries.
yes, we'll talk about the accessibility at some point.
Uh-oh.
Excellent, Graham. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Hello.
Troy from dgninjas.com.
Nice to meet
right?
you.
So look, thank you so much. I want to have a quick question, right? So we're talking about mobile design for mobile,
Yeah.
basically, right? So a question on that. What's your view on font sizes? You know, in terms, it's just a general view. You know, we can go into more technical or some sort of lightweight. You know, what approach you recommend us to take? You know, in terms of the font size.
Yeah, I'm probably a bit slow on this. I was using pixels and EMs. I know a lot of people are using REMs now, but I was experimenting with a page just last week, actually. One of the templates that I do for Beaverbuilder. So one of the things I do with Beaverbuilder is the templates that they release with each release. There isn't tons of templates like there is with Elementor. It's just me doing a few. They don't want loads in there. But anyway, the point is we had a particular design that had a huge font. It was one of those kind of layouts with absolutely huge typography. And I discovered that using VW or VH was a fantastic way to scale that down. I don't know if there is support issues with that. I don't think there are. But I found that I definitely think that if you're starting to think about that, look into what you can, what you can do with REMs, what you can do with VH and VW, because with browsers as they are improving, our possibilities get better all the time. And as I've advocated for before, it's not just doing it because you paid to do it or someone pays you to do it. It's doing it because that's what we used to love before we lost our mojo a bit, and it brings the mojo back. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I think there was a hand up over here, but we're going to have to break here to go on to the next session. But Paul, I want to say thank you. Please give Paul a big round of applause. Really appreciate that, Paul. Thank you. We are going to take a quick break now. There is plenty of pizza, so please do go and finish it off. We're going to be 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to come back and have the second session. If you're on the live stream, we will be back in a moment. down a little bit. This is about a conversation. This is about a discussion. This is about essentially the evolution of WordPress over the last 2 and a bit years, as we've been forced as a community to be a distributed community that can no longer come together. And just the issues and the challenges and the positives and just the journey essentially over the last couple of years. I wanted to just pull this up and leave this slide just sitting here. The last time we were together as a community for WPLDN was the 27th of Feb 2020. I know that one because that was my 40th birthday. We're back 27th of April 2022. So we've had 26 months of not being able to physically come together and do what we're doing here. And I really appreciate this. I really appreciate the connections. I really appreciate just the ability to be in a room with people. Paul, you touched on some really important issues at the end of your session there. And I'm really glad that you touched on that, because something that's been a real challenge for myself, and I did stick my hand up back there, was the lack of mojo. And this issue of, and for me, it was, I'm an introvert, but I feed off the energy of being around other people. But it's not just about that. I want to also celebrate that we look at some of these numbers. Back then, when we last came together, WordPress ran 35% and a bit of the web. Today, it's running around 43.2%. So in this period where we've been forced to not be together, so we've had to work in a distributed format, we've grown and we've continued to grow. And if we look at between that time period, 27th Feb, 27th April, 2020, 2022, we've had 3,371 individuals. And these are, I must highlight, these are core contributors, people that have contributed to core. And I get there's a whole world of other people out there that are contributing in other ways to WordPress. But these are people that have been highlighted as core contributors to the project in that time frame. There's been 52 releases in that time frame. That's 52 releases, including security patches. That's quite incredible. When we look at 26 months, we've had 52 releases of WordPress. And since that date, 27th Feb 2020, we've had full site editing introduced. We've had some massive changes happening in relation to how we work with the tool that often many of us are very, very familiar with. And I just wanted to just open up this discussion with all of us. There may be 3 people sitting here at the moment at the front, but equally, I want to open the opportunity for you to come and join us. You may see there's an empty chair on the end there. If you've got a thought, an opinion, something you want to share, something you want to talk about, come and grab that empty chair, and one of these 3 lovely people will jump up and vacate. There should always be just 3 people here, because we've only got 3 microphones, essentially. But if you want to come and join in the discussion, come and grab that chair and just be part of it. And it's about this journey that we've been on over the last 2 and whatever months, 26 months, where we've not been able to be together, and just how WordPress has evolved. I don't know, I want to turn it over to you, any of the 3 of you, around the concepts of how your use of WordPress and the way you've had to interact with it, how's that changed in this period?
Well, I'll start.
Just need to bring the mic up quite close.
I haven't used WordPress a huge amount. I use it for building clients' websites, but a lot of the information I get is from coming to this WordPress meetup and the contacts I meet and conversations I have. And then suddenly to lose all of that was quite a tough thing, really, because it was like, oh gosh, what do I do now? This is where I found my information. It's where I chatted to people, and you know, that bit of mojo as well, and that was lost for me in that period of time. In the last 2 years, I became more introvert and definitely started not finding solutions as I had found solutions in the past. It may have helped me in some ways because I had to actually go out and find different solutions rather than just saying, hey, guys, I'm having a problem with this. What should I do? So for quite a while now, I've been thinking, oh, I really wish I could go back to one of those physical meetups. And I'm so pleased.
And here you are. Yes, excellent. Thank you. I think it is really important, isn't it? This physical connection that we need. As much work has gone into the concept around virtual events, and I think there are many positives in the concept of virtual events. I think they're really important. They've brought down many barriers. We as a human species, as an animal species, if you like, there is a natural need for connection. There's a natural need to be around other individuals. And like yourself, I'm so glad that we can come back here. We're in a very fortunate position here in the UK that we're able to. I feel very privileged, essentially, to be able to do this. But I just think this idea of we've had many individuals, hundreds of thousands of individuals across the UK, not just within our industry, but across the UK and globally, that may not necessarily been used to the distributed working model, may not understood what the impact is. There's this lovely kind of let's work from home, and then suddenly that starts to disappear. That honeymoon period of I'm working from home, I don't need to stick my pants on, I can sit there. But if you start to lose, I think those human connections that you're talking about there, that's where.
Certainly, yes. My involvement with WordPress has been over a few years, and yes, I've built a lot of WordPress themes for clients over the years. Over the last couple of years, that things have changed for me in that I've been. Many of you know that I'm involved in web accessibility, and a lot of my work has been around doing a lot of training courses for developers on that side of things. So I haven't done so much WordPress development. I'm moving into the phase where, because I have my own websites for my own interests and what have you, where I'm actually becoming much more of a WordPress user than I was. And I'm starting, and small steps, thank you, Paul, on this one. My own website to do with my music is like, I want to make a lot of changes to that, but like little bit at a time is a great thing there. But things have changed massively with the Gutenberg situation, in that now I've always been a little bit shy on that using that, but now I feel that it's the right time to try and embrace that. And with WordPress 6 coming along in just a few days, there's a huge amount of catching up I've got to do there, really. So that's quite a daunting task. And I've not been in that situation with WordPress really before, because when you're sort of regularly building your own themes and what have you, and for other people and whatever, you can sort of kind of just deal with it, right? But now it's not so easy. And, to echo everyone's view, probably, I've lost it in terms of like the lack of the human interaction. I'm a bit old wave compared to some, I know, but the sort of like even with the training courses that I'm running, like what I used to do them face to face, and now it via Zoom or something like that, it's just not the same. And so it's so valuable coming back in and sitting here in this room with all of you. And thank you, Dan, for organising it. And it's brilliant.
It is. I think you mentioned there, you touched on the Gutenberg and the block editor and the journey there. Just out of interest, how many people here have really embraced the block editor? Yeah, we've got a few nods, a few no's, a few yeah. How's that been, that journey?
Is that working okay? That might be the reason why. So coming in more from a management side, but working at an agency where the block editor is default. So it's something that we use all of the time, and so therefore our team are used to it. It has effectiveness for us. We don't use themes. We don't use templates. We will use Timber and Twig as a default, but then everything is pretty much coded. So we're in a very different kind of space. So for us, that's where it's really come from.
I saw a few kind of nods in the crowd there around the embracing the block editor. If you're interested in coming sharing that experience, that journey, do come and grab that empty seat. This isn't planned. This isn't. This is just us having a conversation just about our experiences and what it's been like as a community over the last 2 and a bit years, where we've not been able to do this physically. just the experiences that we've had.
Can I drop into that? So to qualify, watching my team using it, I'm starting to look at it now, going, okay, I can see some advantages of this now, because I've used page builders in the past, and there can be so much junk. What you were talking before about actually trying to get something that's mobile optimized, you know, as soon as I actually try and I'll build a page out, and I'm interested in developing apps and things like that, and as soon as I squeeze the page down, it's just like, where's my page gone? And I lose complete control, and there's lots of stuff all over the place, and all of a sudden I'm starting to go, okay, we've got a lot more control over what's happening on the page, and it's lighter. And so I'm now kind of starting to think, okay, in my spare time, I'm going to dig into this now. So I've kind of like done a bit of a journey from being slightly skeptical. I like my page builder. I like that environment. Thank you very much. I'm just going to stay there. And now I'm going, okay, I can see some real benefits for this. So it's interesting how that journey can happen.
It absolutely is. Yeah. I mean, we've fully embraced the block editor and that experience. And yeah, we've migrated multiple sites that have been using page builders, and there's nothing wrong with page builders. There's some of the frameworks out there are fantastic, but we've taken what were already reasonably performant and good sites and moved them over to the block editor, and we've seen multiple second page load improvements. And we back to what Paul was talking about there, that 1% improvement, where you're seeing multiple second improvement on page loads, because you're shifting from using an ecosystem that's possibly adding a lot of bloat to the site if you're using some page builders. I mean, obviously it depends how you use. Everything's a tool, but it really has been interesting. And with some of the tools that are out there that can now complement the block editor, generate blocks was mentioned earlier. It really is, the experience that we're having with it is that there's everything we could do with a page builder, we can now do with the block editor. And it really isn't adding that much to the ecosystem that is within core to enable you to create that.
There's another thing that we're experiencing, which is that obviously we have a proportion of clients that want to have exposure. They want to be able to manage their content. And block editing, this gives us the ability to lock down what they can have access to. So we can build a certain amount of blocks. We can train them in those blocks. They can become proficient in those. And then that's it. That whole series of pages, they can take care of that. We don't have to worry about that. And that's a real kind of difference, is being able to control the client experience. And that's what's really important, is engaging in a relationship with a client where they can feel that they're being looked after. So we build the blocks for them. We give them the features that they want. They ask for that thing, they get that thing. They can then have the freedom to go and do that. Absolutely fine. And then we can then get into a process where it can become an iterative process. So they ask for new changes, so we can bring new blocks in. So all of a sudden, we're in a process now where we are working with clients, giving them what they want, extending the relationship, which increases client retention.
Key valuable points. I mean, I guess one thing I just want to throw out there for you, the audience, do feel free to come and grab that seat, be part of this conversation. Anybody out there it's still installing the classic editor plugin? Yeah. Is that something you're still actively?
I'm sorry, I'm still using it. Not so much with clients, but with my own website, I'm still. That's kind of why I'm thinking I need to move on here. But since I'm doing day-to-day updates at the moment, I'm not in a position at the moment where I'm fully happy with it, with the editor. So yeah, I'm still using it.
Do you mind me asking, is that an accessibility related issue?
No, I have done some thinking around the accessibility of the blocks. I know I've done a bit of research on that, which could come to a fruition, at some point. It's more just, and the point I'm having around Gutenberg is since I've not used it at all, really, and I'm not even in a position where I'm having to show clients how to do it. I'm actually starting, I'm starting at the ground floor when Gutenberg's up at the 8th floor already, right? And it's about, okay, so how do I get the lift up to the 8th floor to understand, from like putting the wheels on, right? How do I start? Yeah, and that's the bit where I think there needs to be a bit more support, really, is to sort of like people who are coming in at the sort of at the ground floor, really, who don't have someone like you who's to say, oh yeah, this is how you do it, that's how you do it, and lock it all down. It's like supposing someone picks up WordPress off the street, if you want, whatever, and says, oh, I've heard this is good, I'll have a go with that, and get it from like SiteGround or some other hosting or whatever. And then where do they go next? And to understand how it all hangs together.
Isn't that the point? That it's like a little bit every day. So just do a little chunk every day, because you will eventually get.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I also think there's a really interesting issue in that we are very familiar. I think a lot of us in this room, obviously a lot of familiar faces, we're very, very familiar with the old WordPress way, the classic editor way, if you like. But I do think there's also these people that are coming in, coming off the streets, as you said, that have never experienced the old way, that actually may find it more intuitive these days.
It's possible.
Because I get there are lots of quirks and lots of challenges around it, but I think it can be quite easy for us to think, well, that's how it should be done, because that's what we have been used to for many years.
I think there's another tangent, another point to that, and it struck me when talking to somebody recently. He was solo trader, and we were talking about learning time, and he said, I don't have learning time. The only learning time I have is when I've got to fix the issue that's got to be fixed. And then there's the bit where if you can be in the space where actually you have the time to learn the things that you just want to learn, or you feel as part of career progression, you can learn. And having the luxury of having a certain period, 5 or 10% of your time, when you can go and do that, that makes a very big difference.
Do you want to come in? Do you want to come and join the discussion? Yeah. No, we need to use the mics. Because it's a really important issue.
Thank you. So, sorry, just to jump into that.
Absolutely. This is exactly what we're doing.
Most of the times, the main issue, the client wants to.
Sorry, can we just back up? So you're talking about the client here, weren't you? Just so the people couldn't hear. So you're talking about the client issues here.
The client issue, yeah, exactly. That clients wants to edit their sites. Always, how can I change the things? How can I add content to the blogs or services? If you are talking about a business, small business, and they want to edit their content. And Gutenberg is good, but it's getting more and more complicated as Gutenberg wants to catch up with the page builders. Even I don't use Gutenberg. Why? It's not as good as Elementor, for example, for designing the pages and things like that. But when the customer jumps into, okay, how can I change the things? And Gutenberg, rows, columns, and things like that. How can I add? Where's the plus? And what can I add to? At that point, the customer gives up. For that reason, I always install Classic Editor, and I rather using Jet Engine. And that way I create the sections and things like that for the client, and they can just edit simply the Classic Editor, add the things, because I always try to explore what the client wants to change, and they can edit easily, and that's it. A price, or if I know the price, location, or whatever specific, I create the things with Jet Engine, and that's it. That's my way I do usually.
Thank you. I think the what I'm kind of getting from this, and also what Graham was pointing out there, is if we're going back to this date, we didn't have full site editing in WordPress. We've gone 2 and a bit years, and there's been an enormous change in the way that we use WordPress. And going back to Graham's point about coming in on the 8th floor, well, actually with WordPress 6.0, we're going to see Gutenberg 13.0 merged into core. So we've got 13 major releases of Gutenberg in that time period. That's now coming into WordPress core. one of the things I did want to mention is that this idea of education and how do we catch up, and there is through the pandemic, or the period of the pandemic, learn.wordpress.org has been launched, and there's an awful lot of content that's been produced on learn.wordpress.org that's specifically aimed at supporting some of the conversations that we're having here around how do we educate ourselves, how do we educate our clients, how do we grow our understanding of the product. So I just wanted to mention that because that's actually been a really phenomenally successful project. Right, do you want to come and grab it? It's been a really phenomenally successful project through this period. So if you are looking for information on Gutenberg or the block editor or WordPress generally, head over to learn.wordpress.org. We've got some fresh faces here.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in relation to Gutenberg and why I use the classic editor on most of my sites. So I use Elementor to actually build out the site structure for virtually all of my sites nowadays. And most of the time, if I'm using the classic editor at all, it's because I want to train clients in editing blog posts or writing blog posts. And I find that the Gutenberg editor, even now, even with WordPress 6, still is clunky if I just want to train somebody how to type a basic blog post and publish it. There's so many options. You've got the you've got all the different options that you just don't need when you just want a text editor with some basic image functionality. And I almost feel like Gutenberg needs a simple mode that's an evolution on the classic editor for the more blog type sites that don't actually need the full Gutenberg functionality. And for me, that's not there at the moment.
It's little things like this for me that really get me in what you're talking about there. It's I just want to highlight this piece of text to this piece of text, and that should be possible. But of course, it highlights all of the text in both blogs, and that for me it's a small thing. But actually, if you do this day in, day out, and your clients have got hundreds of members of staff that are doing this day in, day out, this suddenly becomes a really major pain point. And I think what you're talking there about this kind of concept of simplifying, I love the fact that this is being resolved in 6.0.
Yes,
but it absolutely is. It's a really good example, I think, of what you're talking about there.
The other thing that's a game changer for me, I think, in 6.0 that might push me back towards trying it again is the ability to lock certain elements. So if I want to set up the structure of a blog post, in reality, I'll still use Elementor to build out the page structure. But within that, if I want to put in a templated blog post with text images that they can just pre-fill and not move about certain elements that I don't want them to touch, being able to lock down elements is a game changer for me.
It is, and we've had the opportunity and the ability to lock elements, for quite some time. But of course, you've had to do that via code, and it's not been in in kind of a WYSIWYG style format or a setting style format. So I think it's a really interesting progression, and our experience has become very positive. Paul and I have had some conversations in the past about the editor and the experience, and I was very negative. I wasn't really embracing it as a project, but actually I've got to say, particularly in the last 6 months for me and as a team, it's been something that I'm really happy to see where it's going and moving forward with. So Mike, did you?
Yeah, I'm happy to chip in on the Gutenberg conversation too. I mean, I agree with a lot of the comments that have been made. I think a lot of the interface to me doesn't fit for my clients. Gutenberg is still a big struggle to use, I think, straight away. WordPress made some quite bold choices. For example, having every paragraph is its own block, and it made some quite bold choices, I think, really. Looking at, I'm personally, most of the websites I've launched in the last 2 years have been on Beaver Builder, which I find great. I've tried, I have done a couple of websites on with Gutenberg, the block builder, but clients themselves find the interface actually very difficult to use. I don't have an issue with the technical basis of Gutenberg and some of the justification behind that. I absolutely agree with, and it can do some very clever stuff. But I found trying to do some very, very simple things incredibly difficult, and they still can't do stuff without adding more and more extensions, which goes against really the point of Gutenberg, where it was supposed to be a better interface built in. And particularly your comment about very simple things like blogs, and there's a lot of complexity and bloat actually in Gutenberg. And do we need all these drop caps and all these kind of fancy gimmicky things in there? Probably not. So yeah, and I think that the other issue that I think WordPress probably didn't help themselves by launching something that was very much in the beta stage too early as well to the market, which gave it this negative reputation in the community that they could have maybe delayed that a bit more. But it's, I think, particularly coming to these events and coming to the WordPress events pre-pandemic, I saw some presentations, incredibly fancy stuff with Gutenberg, and I thought this is great, and this does look really good. When it came to just me during the kind of COVID era and just trying to recreate something to do that, I did find it quite challenging. I see myself, someone over the years has been a bit more advanced now with WordPress. So it's I'm not convinced by Gutenberg yet, even though it's clearly a massive part of the community. The feedback I've heard is that some people are kind of abandoning WordPress because they've been so used to the old-fashioned ways, and I think we've got to be careful that we don't get in the bubble of this has to be the right way. And there are other choices in WordPress to choose as well, but I think there's but that's a good thing about WordPress. I think we have choice about how we can use the websites.
Absolutely, yes, and that's one of the one of the key foundations of WordPress. Democratizing the ability to have our own data, manage our own data, democratize our own content, democratize publishing. I think just to unfortunately time is running out. I just want to wrap this up. Some of the key points for me around this. Personally, my JavaScript ability has had to go through the roof. I've started 2.5 years ago, tampering around a little bit of JavaScript here and there. That has now gone through the roof. If you've attended WordFest or any of the live events, that entire site, all the video functionality, as Mike very well knows, is all built within the block editor, and it's all built using custom JavaScript. And there's a ton of stuff going on in there, which if I go back 2.5 years ago, I'd have shied away from. But it's encouraged me to learn and evolve my skill set. In terms of this journey to 26 months of WPLDN and us not being able to physically come together, it's been challenging. It's been a challenging time at a personal level, and as many individuals that I get to speak to on a regular basis that are, it's a time where we're going to go through, I think, possibly some more pain points following this. We're not through this. This isn't over and done with. But I think we do need to celebrate that as a community, as a WordPress, as a global community, we've managed to maintain, and not just maintain, but grow what we're doing. We've managed to continue to develop the software. We've managed to continue to grow the growth of the platform and the adoption of it. And I think that shouldn't be looked over. This is to not be able to physically come together to do something like this really does go to demonstrate the power of this sort of decentralized, distributed style, this distributed model. I'm going to stop waffling. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's contributed in this conversation. Really appreciate your time and all of you coming here, being part of this. I think there's a much larger, much longer conversation to be had about many issues that we've touched on here, but unfortunately time is against us. So you're welcome to stay sitting there. I'm just going to quickly wrap up. If you don't, feel free to grab your seats.
We're still on. I just want to say I was lucky when I was associated with the charity, to have some mental health first aid training. And one of the things that really has made a difference through the whole of this period was I had that before, and I had the chance to actually apply that to people inside our ecosystem, but also to people outside. And it has made a massive difference because we've all been pushed to points. And I just want to say actually a big thank you to the charity. And I just want to say a big thank you to Dan for enabling that to happen, because it's through actions like that we're able to look after each other. So thank you, Dan.
You're very welcome. Excellent. Well, this has been a little bit different. We try to ensure that our sessions are engaging and there is an opportunity for you to be part of the conversation. However, the sessions vary. We can have 2-3 sessions. We can have we can have lightning sessions going on sometimes. So WPLDN does vary in terms of its format and in terms of the content that you can expect. Obviously, this is our first time coming back together, and it's our first time in this venue. Love to hear what you think about the venue. Love to hear what you think about Wednesday nights as well. Whether that's something, or that's a good or a bad thing. Going to run through just a quick wrap up. Just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Bluehost, Cloudways, GoDaddy Pro, Nexus, and Weglot. And again, big.ht/thanks if you haven't already. Really appreciate it if you could thank these companies, because they are enabling us to not just deliver WPLDN, but the wider Big Orange Heart project. I'd love to hear what you think. Concept of this format. We've kind of come back and just kind of slipped back into what we were doing previously in terms of the format. Does the format work for you? Does the venue work for you? All of these things. We'd love to know what you think. You can hit the big.ht/feedback, or you can come and have a chat with either Paul or myself after the event. A couple of things just to mention, just a couple of save the dates. We have got WP Global. WP Global is what used to be, what was through the pandemic, WPLDN virtual. Obviously, we stepped away on the 27th of February 2020. In March, the following month, we went straight into a virtual event, and we carried on through the pandemic. And it's been a really interesting journey delivering these virtual events. We've got a global community of individuals. We had over individuals from over 96 territories join us through that period, and it's just been phenomenal to see the way that the barrier has been brought down. So if you're interested in, as I mentioned at the start, even becoming a co-organizer, if you're interested in speaking, if you're interested in just attending, then 12th of May is the next scheduled event. So that will happen on the second Thursday of every month as a virtual event. 26th of May, which is the Thursday, the last Thursday of May, which is the night that we generally have these events on. Unfortunately, this venue is not available on a Thursday night, which is why we're a bit tentative about the Thursday or the Wednesday. So we've got to balance, do we want this venue on a Wednesday, or do we need to find somewhere else to go back to our regular Thursday? Love to hear what your thoughts are on that. We're going to carry on now. We need to step out of here. Please make sure all of that pizza's eaten before you go. We are literally going to go out the front door, take a left, walk less than 1 minute, and we can step into the Bunch of Grapes. If you want to continue the conversation, we're going to head over to the Bunch of Grapes for social, a bit of networking, and just generally spending a bit of time together in a more relaxed, more informal environment, which can't really be much more relaxed and informal than this environment. As I've mentioned several times, this event, among many others, is hosted by Big Orange Heart. If you have the ability, if you are able to, please visit big.ht/give. There's an opportunity there to make a donation into Big Orange Heart. If you're not in a position to, then please do help share this message. Just want to say a big thank you to all of you for coming out today and being part of this event. I appreciate we're in this really strange period at the moment where we're kind of figuring out how we get back, what we do, being back together. I just want to say it's been wonderful to see so many familiar faces and new faces in the room today. Just want to thank you for being here and being part of this. It's wonderful. It really is wonderful to be back with you, the community. Before I go any further, I'm going to wrap up and say that's it. Finish that pizza, grab the final drinks, and let's head over to the Bunch of Grapes and continue. Thank you all.